Okay, everyone should probably be getting a message saying that the recording has started. We are doing this session today on our unclaimed funds for OTDA. Again, our contact information is along the bottom, the New York State RPU email addresses for any follow-up questions after today. And we have also added a contact person, Tiffany, with OTDA for certain questions that might come out of today's meeting. There is a contact us form on our website as well. We are going to be covering a few different topics today. We'll start with a brief overview, talk about a transition into a new system that we are using here in our office, talk a little bit about the specific kinds of unclaimed funds that you might be responsible for reporting and how to report those funds, starting with any diligent efforts to contact the rightful owners of those funds, the different parts of a report, some common pressure points that we have with those reports. We'll also talk about deadlines, filing an extension, and before we get to the Q&A, we'll actually be doing a demonstration of one of the new reporting methods that we have with our new system. For that overview, I wanted to talk a little bit about what our office does. You can see in this pie chart that we do collect unclaimed funds, but our ultimate goal is to reunite those funds with the rightful owners. The funds are reported to us during the year from holders or entities who are holding the funds prior to them being reported to this office. And you can see, we can tell what industries are reporting those funds to us. Banks, corporations, and insurance companies do make up a majority of the funds that are reported to this office, but court funds do constitute 2%, and the property type code that we use for the funds that you report is in that court funds industry. We pay claims. Last year, we returned $633 million to claimants, and we are really proud of that number. We're happy to return these funds to the rightful owners. We also processed in my area over 15,000 holder reports. I mentioned already that we have a new system here at the Office of Unclaimed Funds. The name of that system is CAPS. It was implemented in August. This will impact your reports to our office. I know that previously people reporting child support and spousal and child support used a New York format, and the New York format is no longer available. There is a National Association for Unclaimed Property, and we have adopted their reporting format in this new system. For specific questions and concerns, especially after this session, like I said, you can go to that contact us screen or go to our email address. The different law sections that apply to child support and spousal and child support are the Abandoned Property Law, Section 1318, and the Social Services Law, Section 111H. Any amount representing the support paid to a SCU, Support Collection Unit, established under the Social Services Law 111H is abandoned property under subdivisions 5 and 6. And the entities who are responsible for reporting any of these unclaimed funds are the support collections units of those social services districts. This slide has some of the logistics that are needed in order to file a report. There is a property type code that is required on our reporting form, and the code that should be used is CT06. There is a 2-year dormancy period that applies to this type of funds, but there are some specifics when it comes to that dormancy period. We use the term dormancy period as the time period between when the funds become payable and when they become reportable as unclaimed funds. The timeline that should be used is a January 1st cutoff date of each year, with due diligence mailings being required on January 10th for a first class mailing and February 10th for a certified mailing, with a final report due by April 10th of the year. There are some specifics under the SSL 111H, and it all stems from our ultimate goal of having the funds be reunited with the rightful owner of those funds. That's a goal of our office. I know that that's what you're doing as well, and I will get into the specifics here on this slide. When the funds have identifying information, those 2 years of dormancy should include 2 years of diligent efforts that are required to locate the individual entitled to the funds. If there isn't any identifying information and you can't attribute the funds to a specific account, funds may be paid to unclaimed funds without performing those 2 years of diligent efforts. And if the funds are owed to a deceased individual who not with an estate can't be located or does not claim the funds, there's also not the requirement to wait those 2 years. I want to take a moment to talk about the abandoned property laws requirements for due diligence mailings. We have a first class mailing requirement, which says that all owners who are expected to appear on the final report, so whose names are going to be listed in that report detail, should be contacted at their last known address at least 90 days before the final report is due. And according to that calendar that I showed you earlier, that means by January 10th. You don't have to wait until January 10th, but it has to be done by January 10th. There are exceptions when the address isn't known or you already have proof that it's not current. There is a second notice that is required when the value of the items being reported is over $1,000. And that is to send the certified mailing to the last known address at least 60 days before the final report is due. So for the calendar that we discussed before, that's by February 10th. And again, if you already have proof that that first class mailing was returned as undeliverable, or even better, if they've already reached out to reestablish their account, then the mailing is not required to be sent. Also, if the owner is outside of the United States. A couple of years ago, we actually added an electronic contact regulation where certain types of electronic contact can now be used to satisfy the written communication requirements in the abandoned property law, and that is to prevent the property from becoming abandoned or unclaimed funds. We included some tips to increase the responses from due diligence. We thought that it would be helpful. I know I'm one of those people where I see a statement come in the mail. I don't always open it before I throw it away. And you would think I did because I work in unclaimed funds. We're always proving the need for our own office, I guess. So some of those tips are to ensure that the envelope doesn't look like junk mail. Print words on the outside of the envelope like time sensitive or response mandatory, and do keep that due date short to encourage prompt action and give them also additional ways to reach back out to you. With the new system, the electronic reporting methods have been updated, like we mentioned, and there are two main ones now. Two main electronic reporting methods. One of them is to upload a NAPA file, and the other one is the manual online reporting, which we will demonstrate today. The manual online reporting is a web form that allows you to securely enter information for an unlimited number of accounts. It is web-based, it's secure, and an important note, you do have 45 days from the time you set up your login to complete your report. The password that you are given when you set up your account is specific to you. It is known only to you. We do recommend people keep a copy of it, whether it's on your computer or that you have it somewhere on your desk. We cannot retrieve it for you. There is no way for us to help you get it back. So if you think, oh, I'll just reach out to OUF and they can, reset it, the only way to do it is to keep it yourself. And if you lose it, you do have to start again. And it is available to start again, but you have to start from the beginning. If you submit your manual online reporting, you do not need to send a separate VCL, verification and checklist. And Christy will get into more detail about that when she speaks with you. And speaking of Christy, I'm going to hand it off to her right now. Thank you.
Good morning. The 3 parts to a complete report consist of the verification and checklist, the account details, and the remittance of cash. The total amount of cash reported needs to be the same on all 3 parts. First, the account details, also referred to as the report detail record, is a description of the property being reported and the entitled owner to whom it belongs. This is an important part to have the most accurate and complete data in each field. It helps in locating claimant's property and expedites the claim process for your customer. Owner information is where you tell us everything there is to know about the entitled owner. There are some fields here that will look new since using the old New York format. For example, the owner type, where you use a P to tell us that the owner of the property is a primary owner. And any additional owners would be noted as an A in that field. This field appears when a summary file is created. One thing to keep in mind when you're filing is that you need to remove all punctuation, commas, periods, apostrophes, etc., from the name fields. Also, with the address fields, filling out as much information as you can is helpful. If any of this information is unknown, leave these fields blank. Do not put unknown anywhere in the address fields. I would like to point out that the last known address, if it is not in the United States, the New York format asked for a 2-digit country code, while the NAPA format requires a 3-digit country code. If a property has more than one entitled owner, you need to supply the additional owner information. For each additional owner, provide their name, address, social security number, and the appropriate relationship code. The property type, account ID number, and dormancy date need to be the same for each owner. Record any remittance information on the primary owner record only and leave blank for all additional owners. This is an example of our account codes. In NAPA format, every owner has their own 2-character code, which is a required field. If you have a property with only one entitled owner, use SO for sole owner in this field. You can find the full list in our handbook for reporters, as well as on the NAPA standard file format instructions. Property information. The starting date is the date of last activity or the date the account became dormant. The ending date is used when reporting multiple items as one rolled up line item. Different from the New York formatting style, NAPA does require a 4-digit year, followed by the month and then the day. For property type, use the 4-digit alphanumeric NAPA code CT06 that identifies child support. The account number and check number fields are where you would put any unique identifying information. The description field is used to give us any additional information that can be used to help the rightful owner of the property. Jen briefly touched on the dormancy period before. This is a period of time defined by the abandoned property law during which the rightful owner or owners does not act on a property. It is sometimes known as the starting transaction date, the dormancy date, or the date of last activity. Examples of dormancy date include the date which a property becomes payable, such as the issue date of a check or the last written or electronic contact with an owner. As you know, we have moved to the CAP system, which only accepts NAPA formatted reports. NAPA has its own system for property type codes, so you will be using CT06 going forward. On the screen is a conversion chart showing an example of the change, and there is more information on our website. Reminder about completing fields when reporting. The more identifying information you report, the easier it is for our claimants to collect. The account or check field should be any unique information like the check number or New York case identifier. If you have both, the case number can go in the description fields. The only date in the starting transaction field is the date the property should have been dispersed. Warning, the starting transaction date field must be completed or the system will not accept your report. The final aspect of the account details is the claimant's remittance information. Enter the amount reported, the difference, if any, and then the amount remitted on each account. The sum of all these fields should total the dollar value remitted to the state. Like Jen mentioned, with having over 15,000 holders, we've documented some trends of common errors. Do not submit multiples of the same report or remittance. It's one report and one single remittance. Reports cannot be processed in the retired New York format. Using the correct property types. There's only one for child support, CT06. And good contact information if we have any questions. And our email is also listed for your convenience. The next component of a complete report is a verification and checklist, or VCL. There's two versions of this document. First is the electronic version, or the eVCL, which is created for you when you report online. And secondly, the paper VCL, Form AC2709. The paper form is used whether you are sending in a paper report or if you have pre-approved for reporting the NAPA format on a CD or a USB. When filling out the VCL, be sure to use the most up-to-date information and that the contact is somebody who can answer questions regarding the report or the remittance. Please do not leave a generic 1-800 number unless there is an extension to a contact directly. The VCL was recently revamped and no longer contains the property type checklist on the back. Instead, we have replaced it with a report summary section where you can tell us how you are remitting your funds, how are you submitting your account details, and the total number of cash you are reporting and remitting to the state. There are 3 ways to submit remittance with your report. The top 2 listed are our preferred methods. The easiest and fastest way is our debit option. When a report is filed online, you can pay right then and there and have an email confirmation sent to you. We also have the option of electronic transfer. These instructions with accounting information can be found on our website. If it is necessary, you may send a check made out to the New York State Comptroller. Please indicate it is the Office for Unclaimed Funds. I am now going to pass it on to Katie to give the demonstration of our MOR reporting. Thank you.
Hello. So I'm going to begin on our Unclaimed Funds website here. Okay. My mouse is kind of lagging a little bit, but so we're going to start here, going to Unclaimed Funds. Scroll down here to a little bit far to report property. I'm sorry, it is lagging very badly right now. So up here, I have created my NOP report is where you would go if you had a NOP report ready to upload. But we are going to check out enter a manual report here. Okay, so if you're just doing this for the first time, go over here to email. I am just gonna do our MIS. Here. And register. So this here is the secret key. We, like Jen said before, we can't retrieve this for you. It's a good idea to write this down as well as the date that you're starting this, because you do only have 45 days to complete this. There's no warning once the 45 days is passed. So make sure that you copy the date that you started this as well as the secret key itself. That's going to bring you back to the login screen. So now we have paste that secret key in. And login. Since this is the first time logging in, it's going to bring me to the holder information screen. So we are the number one. And it's a good idea to include SCU just so that we know that this is a support, just so we know what type of report this is. Tax ID. They won't let me do 1 through 9, but they'll let me do 9 through 1. It flags it as fraudulent if I try to do 1 through 9. Possibly. I am sorry for the lag here. My computer is doing a lot of things right now. Again, as much information as you can give us. Just gonna put in my name since we're here. Main Street. this is going to be for 2026. And we do have a very specific support collection units right here, so that is going to be the report. Save it. And this is your summary page. This has got all of your holder information right here. So from here, we're going to create a record. The last name, we're just going to do Smith. We're going to do John Smith. Let's do something fun and make him a junior. So John Smith lives at 110 State Street. In Albany, in the county of Albany. Too far. Again, as much identifying information as you can get, just so that we know that we can get this to the rightful owner. You can see only the last name field was really a required field, but we do want to make sure that we have as much information as possible. So John Smith is going to be again, I apologize. My computer's doing a lot of work right now, so it's lagging a little. Oh, no. Oh, we can do one down. Yeah, sole owner. Okay. The owner type code, you're going to use this, all owners except aggregate or unknown. You can save. So here we have our owner. We have his address. If we need to edit it, we can hit that edit button. But if we don't need to edit it, we can just go ahead and add the property. So the property type, as mentioned, is going to be CT06. You can see right here, funds for supportive spouse or child. Starting transaction date. Because we're reporting for 2026, that means that this is 2 years old as of January 1st. So the year will be 2023 for this. The amount reported, I'm gonna say he gets $500. The account number, going to be the instrument number. And then we can save. Right. So here's all of the information we just put in. You can edit it if you need to, if something doesn't look right. But we're going to go to the report summary. Here we're going to see this is all we have so far. We have one owner, one property, and $500 on our account. We scroll down here. We can see that record. We can add more records if we want to. Or we could go to our final review here. So yes, once you submit your file, that's it. Your secret key is no longer good. You would have to start all over again. So do make sure that you've got everything in place before you go too far. You're gonna go here. If you're all set though, you're gonna go here. You're gonna check every single one of these boxes. I'm not gonna do that because of how laggy it is right now. But you would check every single one of those boxes to make sure that you've got everything. And then you can either, it's a good idea to download the NAPA file, just so you have that for your own records. And once you've done that, then you would hit the submit button and then it would send it to us. It says I can't hit it now because I haven't checked all those boxes up there. So that is how you would submit via manual online reporting. If anybody has any questions or anything. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, this is Jennifer again, and we are seeing some questions start coming in.